Most of my work that I do, it'll either it'll either bring me to like an article, or it'll bring me like a memory, right? So I'll tell you about the memory that I have, and this is very important. In my early 20s, my father showed me a video of him drunk. He was drunk, stumbling around and stuff. And I remember feeling like really disappointed. Do you remember in the emotional rape and BPD video part 2, I had mentioned that, it makes me sick to imagine my daughter witnessing him drunk. I didn't even make the correlation between this, okay? Because all the people I have children with are drunks. They like to drink a lot. And the oldest, he acts like he's clean and sober now, but I know that he is not. He beats himself up a whole lot. He just wants to look good. But he was. Maybe he's not now. See, I'm not going to put that on him. Maybe he's not now. But knowing him, I know he just likes to have a good image. But when we were together, and for a long time after we were apart, he was very heavy into drugs and alcohol. So, I never saw my father that way, though. Like, personally, I never saw my father stumbling drunk. Never. He always had alcohol in the house. Both my parents always had alcohol in the house. My father also had a cocaine problem. Now, my siblings probably gonna be mad about that. But I know that he did. 1, because of his financial issues. 2, because when I used coke, coke users have a kit. That kit consists of certain things for when your teeth are gnashing, the dry eyes, because it goes into your sinuses. He had like a kit. And when I got older and when I used it is when I was like, whoa, my dad uses coke. But it makes complete sense. The way he acted, he always would do these sinus cleanses all the fucking time. It was like he was addicted to it. And I actually heard, there was once I saw a video in which people were talking about being addicted to those little things. Like when you do the little thing and you do like this and the water comes out. He would do those all the time. All the time. And he would always have those little sinus cleanse things all over the freaking house. The shit would piss me off. See, because I was in charge of cleaning the house. Even when both my parents when they were married, I was always in charge of cleaning the house. One of the things that I would always get in trouble for is moving stuff. But I would have to move it because they would just leave shit all over the place. And if I didn't move it, then it's not clean. And then you're in trouble. It was a never ending. I was just always in trouble. We'll just put it like that. Either it was too clean. Either it wasn't clean enough. Those are you move my stuff. Anyway. One thing a lot of people won't understand and recognize is their wounds, right? Like, why do I keep dating alcoholics? My parents weren't alcoholics. They might have been. They might have been. And they were just really good at hiding it. So that memory resurfaced for me of witnessing my father. He showed me a video like it was funny. And because I was an adult, there were certain things that he was starting to reveal to me that my sisters probably still don't know. They used to get mad at me when I would curse in front of my parents, and it wouldn't be on purpose. Sometimes, you're talking, your natural talk is to curse. I'm an adult, I curse. So sometimes I would get in front of my parents and I'd say a curse word and I'd immediately apologize. Oh, sorry. Excuse my French, And my sister, you're so disrespectful. You're so disrespectful. Ah! My father would defend me. You know, she's an adult. She said sorry. Leave her alone. My mother would not. And I actually heard somebody say something the other day. I don't know who it was because I didn't watch the full thing. In fact, I think I stopped right after she said that. But she had said something about, you know, I don't know. I don't curse in front of my parents. I don't curse at my parents. Good for you. And I didn't used to curse at my parents. In fact, I haven't cussed at my father ever. At him. I've said something in a conversation and accidentally cursed in front of him, right? That's my natural language. In front of my parents, you have to censor yourself, and sometimes it's you gotta mess up. You don't always do that 100. And ultimately, when you do that, you're not being yourself in front of your parents either. Your parents never know you. But later on in life, I did, in the last, before I stopped talking to my mother, the last few conversations that we had, I called her a bitch. And I had no problems with it because she really was a bitch. To this day, she was a bitch. And she deserved to hear that she was a bitch. She didn't give life to me, so I owe her no respect. In fact, she's been helping and trying to take my life. She's in charge of the money that I rightfully deserve from the mother that gave birth to me. No. Nope. She don't get a pass. She's a bitch. Okay? But back to the main point of this is sometimes your wounds are created by covert things that you would never know are there. Never knew my parents were drug addicts. Okay? My mom was a pillhead. I didn't know this. I knew it. There's, you know, I want you guys to think of all the memories that you have and really reassess them, okay? Because one of the memories that I had, and they stick with you if they are a traumatic event. If you have a memory that doesn't make sense to you, that you keep going back to, why do I keep having this memory? Okay, I have a lot of them. These are repressed traumas. They're not just random memories. They're repressed traumas that your brain hasn't been able to process it. So it stays there. Why? And then once you recognize what it is, it kind of like releases itself. You know, you don't think about it anymore. It doesn't come to you anymore. There were several that I had like that. My mother and my grandmother. This is the memory. I don't even know how old I was, but I knew something wasn't right about what I was seeing because it stuck with me. Stuck with me for many years. Stuck with me until I started figuring this stuff out. The only reason I recall it is to help you, right? Again, I'm over all of this stuff. All of this stuff, I am over it. But learning experience, okay? So this memory is of my mother and my grandmother. My mother would always suffer from back problems for a couple years. This went on for a couple years, and it randomly started and it randomly ended. Okay, like she didn't even have back surgery, anything. She just, her back is fixed all of a sudden, right? But for these couple of years, and I know I was like in the 8th grade. This probably went on from the 5th grade to the 8th grade. So 3 years. For 3 years, my mom would be bedridden. She'd be in bed. She don't want to deal with nobody. Ashley, go do this. Ashley, go do that. She's not getting up. She's not helping nobody with nothing. Ashley, do this. Ashley, do that. Since the 5th grade. Okay. Actually, it'd be 4 years, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, because this ended around 9th grade, right when I went into high school. But my grandmother came over one day, and she was like, my mom is crying. She's doing all this crying. And I hear her, and she's like telling the doctor that she lost her pills. She can't find them. They were stolen, or she lost them somewhere or something. Because she was taking, she had quite a few. She had like Vicodin. She had pills. She had the opiates. And I remember, like, she was just crying. She was being so dramatic. She was cussing her doctor out and all this shit. And my grandmother starts cussing the doctor out. They're calling and harassing the doctor. They're calling repeatedly and harassing the doctor. She's in so much pain. I can't believe you're doing this. Now, at this point, I already had, like, a lot of understanding about race relations and physicians. And, like, understanding that there was a disparity between, like, Black people and how they were treated in the healthcare system. But it still didn't sit right with me. Because we didn't go nowhere. Where'd you lose your pills at? You've been bedridden for all these days. Where'd you lose your pills at? Damn, look, I woke up this morning with all of this shit on my forehead. And then it hurts, it irritates me, so I just be picking at it, right? It's a form of trickletomania, anxiety. Anyway, so I'm like, I was a really smart kid. So it just, like, it stuck with me. That shit stuck with me for a long time. And I know it was before I was in the 8th grade, because in the 9th grade, this must have went on for longer than that, because in the 9th grade, I got in trouble for stealing her pills. Percocet. Molly Percocet. It was Percocet. That's what, Percocet and Vicodin. I stole a couple, and I shared a couple with my friend, and we went to school and took them bitches. And that's when she started writing the number of pills she had left in her bottle on the bottle. Always had alcohol in their room. It was a joke between me and my dad. Do you need me to get your ABs? He's like, what's your ABs? What's that? Alcoholic or adult beverages? That's what he's called, adult beverages. And then there was a bar by the name of Thirsty Turtle. And as a child, I didn't know it was a bar. So I always, once I found out it was a bar, they didn't tell me until I was like older that it was a bar. But I used to always be like, I'm thirsty. Can I go to Thirsty Turtle? And these jokes about drugs and alcohol were running jokes between me and my father all the time. Like, oh, I'm so thirsty. I need to go to Thirsty Turtle, Dad. You know, or ABs. Let me get your ABs out the car for you. You know, not realizing that my parents actually had drug problems. And I think it was like Dr. Drew had said something like, drug use has a long-lasting effect on your children, even if they don't recognize that you're doing it. And that's 100% true, because everyone I dealt with, oldest child's father had pill problems. Well, my mom had pill problems. Oldest father had alcohol problems. Well, my dad and my mom had alcohol problems. The second child had alcohol problems. The third one had alcohol problems. And I'm just riding with these people, and they're projecting it onto me, and then now I have a drug problem. But mine was brief, and you know, it was a setup. But I just want people to investigate those memories that you have that seem kind of innocent or seem weird, like your brain is trying to process it. Like, what the fuck was that? That's what it was. This is what it was. My mom had a problem. It stuck with me. That memory stuck with me for a very long time. I didn't determine what that was until winter of last year, like January. And I remember speaking to my aunt about it, like how, and it's funny because I have an aunt that has a pill problem, right? And she would constantly berate my aunt. She would send me pictures of her when she was like out of it and shit. She would do all kinds of things degrading this woman, and she had the exact same problem. That's that holier than thou shit. When I came to her and I told her that I was on cocaine, she berated me so bad. And it's like, but bitch, you had a whole pill problem for several years. I watched you. did not tend to your kids. I was the parent. And now you have the audacity to say something to me. And then also on top of that, they always treated me like I was a liar. When I expose myself, I always expose myself. I can't go on like that. I can't. It's really frustrating. So that shit it really pissed me off. But that's what they do when they're projecting, when they're lying about their own shit. And the funny thing is, grandma knew.